only for 18 months to motivate the guy. He makes choices and CSR is one of the choice. Brand and culture of the organization is one of the choice. Great leaders is one of the choice. How much is the mullah getting is the fourth choice. But how honest is the organization and how motivating are the people is a prime choice why people work. And CSR makes one and the DEI makes one, because these are global initiatives where standards by which organizations are evaluated. And all the people in the organization identify with it. So CSR, DEI makes sense. But how the industry in which the company is and how quickly it is growing, speed of the organization is the only part where the new, I would say, people like us, even at this stage, and the younger generation identified. CSR, DEI are branding equipments. Speed of the organization is the sense and the culture of the place where people identify. Like I identified with my wife, with my home, taking the plate and washing it. Basic. Few of these are basics which people identify with. I mean, that's my take on this, sir.
Thanks, Prashil. I think very well we can resonate with that, especially the initial fight with your wife. You're a bit late. For me, it's the same day of the marriage, you know. So anyway, just getting into the next question, I would like to ask any specific example that you could give us where CSR did boosted the employee branding. If you could just give me some example. Probably we'll start with Shraddha and then Lolly.
So we've done many initiatives at Children's Academy group of schools which involves Gen Alpha, Gen Z, the teachers, the parents, and even the grandparents. So we've worked with many generations and we continue to work with different audiences. And there's a Matrubhumi project where students get to go and teach underprivileged children. So they get to contribute to the society. Parents join them too. There's a road safety campaign. There's an anti-bullying campaign. Bullying is a huge issue in Gen Z. There is school bullying, and mind you, there's office bullying also. So I'll pick on the road safety bit and just give, an example on why we did it, how it worked, and, what was the impact. So, a lot of rich families give cars to their kids at the age of 13 and 14, and also scooters and Activas. So we were struggling with a lot of underage driving, no usage of seat belts by parents because schools are generally close to your residences, so why wear a seat belt for a 5-minute drive? And issues like, triple seat, pick up your neighbor's kid also while driving back from school while you're picking your own child. So it was a very huge cultural issue, which, like Prashil mentioned, things start at home. So we saw that this was somewhere starting at home, the whole liberty to break rules and do whatever you feel like. So we had a very visual and a very involving campaign for road safety. We had jingles made on, and it was a song called "Tu 16 baras ki, main 15 baras ka," and then the whole context was about we don't have our licenses, we can't drive. It was an old Bollywood song which our students, converted into a jingle. Parents were involved. They knew the impact. They knew that you can go behind the bars if you are not, stopping your child from underage driving or even encouraging it. So it was a very impactful campaign. It was beyond, posters and signages and pamphlets. There were memes, there were reels, there was social media, and every generation of the family was involved because while the school has the responsibility to inculcate the civic sense, but if the culture in the house and the family is, chalta hai, you can do whatever, you don't have a footpath in India, so just drive wherever you want to. It will not work. So it was very important to engage the grandparents, parents, and everyone in the family. And the campaign worked. We saw a major drop in underage driving. We saw some traffic discipline outside the school during peak hours of pick up and drop. But having said that, CSR is not a magic wand. It works. It helped a certain TG in our industry. But when it comes to teachers, there's a paradox over here. Some of the brightest minds of the world, not just India, don't want to become teachers. How many of us have ever thought in grade 10 as students that, nahi, main teacher banungi? But most of us have applied for the Teach for India campaign, got a fellowship, though the rate is only 4 to 6%, but I'm confident that, most of us fall in that 4 to 6%. And they had the whole glamour of becoming a fellow. They put it in their resume, they spoke about it in interviews, but would they take up teaching as a profession? Is it low paying? Is it boring? Is there no growth? Actually, the problem is that not many academies, institutes, and educational centers are able to, behave and talk like change agents, do things that, help make real changes in the society or be authentic. And hence, I think, this whole teaching profession also, which is a big contributor to our society in grooming the workforce for the future, also has to be a part of this whole larger gamut of CSR and the whole corporate world.
Thank you. Dolly?
Yeah, so I want to share a very interesting instance. So about a year and a half back, I don't remember the dates exactly well, there was a CSR initiative launched by People Matters in partnership with Skillsoft, and Akshay Patra was the NGO which was tied to this. And the whole scheme of things was there were, I think, about 20, 25 participating companies, and we got an invite that would you like to participate. When we looked at the list of companies, okay, and the names of the companies, we were definitely with the smallest numbers in terms of, we're about 1,400 employees, and all the other organizations were like huge. You had Yes Bank, Tech Mahindra, Bajaj Electricals, just to name a few. Anyway, to cut a long story short, what this entailed was, over 45 days, Skillsoft was opening up its platform to all the employees within the organization, right? So 45 days you had the access to explore the entire library of the courses which were there. We realized that, forget about where we score in the leaderboard, but we wanted to do an approach where we did a top-down approach of actually reaching out to every single individual in the organization through town halls. So first of all, starting with the leaders to say, you know what, this is a fantastic way for us to give back, right? It cannot be a better win-win. For every course that an individual completes, okay, one hungry child gets, an underprivileged kid gets a meal. For every 100 courses done, one underprivileged kid, education for the entire year is sponsored, right? So we went with this messaging to all the people, and the kind of responses we got was phenomenal, right? By week 6, in fact, coincidentally, Skillsoft extended it by another 2 weeks because of certain companies saying our people were really tied up due to project deadlines. By week 5, we were in the top 3. And by actual completion of the program, we were actually leading the board, right? We led this whole thing, and it came as a complete surprise. The employee participation was 78%. All of us here in HR know that learning programs are probably the toughest to get people to. No matter the best LMSs, whatever you do, it's very tough. So what really worked for us when we sort of dissected this was getting everyone together, helping them see the purpose, right? So when people saw the purpose, that what, even without shelling out a rupee, I'm giving my time, but I'm learning something, and in the process of learning something, there's a hungry child who gets a meal, and if I do X number of courses, right? So we had the managers, leaders, everyone pushing for it. So people, and of course this was open through the week, right? So weekends, after work hours, and this was, I think, so the Learn for a Cause, was a phenomenal example of how we could get complete participation and engagement from all.
Very good. Thank you. I think that's a very impactful program. Now I'll move on to the next question. I'll start with Prashil. Okay. Let me just think what question I should ask him. Of course, what we have already looked at is that one. Do you feel there is a difference between the different generations in terms of perceiving employers' branding effort with regards to CSR, right? For example, how millennials, Gen Z look at it to the erstwhile other generations when you perceive CSR initiatives of the company. If so, what are those differences?
I mean, my now 18, then 12, um my son introduced me to the concept of ORM. ORM. Okay, so it's basically organization managing brands for companies online at a particular cost. Um, I guess most of the activities, so let me take one step behind. Any CSR activity or any good activity that you do within the organization, there are two ways of doing it. One is being a part of a larger public. Other way is working at home and doing it for your people. I am of the other thought process. My end result is managing the brand and managing retention. HR का बंदा हूँ. I think so that's what will work well for me. So, doing cancer patients support, which we used to do, I just ran a survey, and 11% of my employees, mothers, fathers, or sisters, they were suffering with cancer and going around cancer hospitals. My budget there I used here, and I marketed it within my marketing team, within my target group area. My target group was my employees. It worked well. Outside, I had to push to get people into the attendance over there. When people did this, they become family and friends. I mean, in Indonesia, I had people who were workers in my data center. I ran a program of education for them under CSR. And the workers, I wouldn't say workers, but cleaners of the data center, support staff,